Now you just say admit all. So only what, 34 so far, 35. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you could hear me. I'm going to start almost immediately because I think you guys came in early, and so I'm not going to take too much of your time. So yes, my name is Lionel, and with me today is, as usual, my partner in crime, Eileen. So today we're going to just grab, if you attended our session last week, we talked about four types of questions that usually you will encounter at the interview. So today we just take a snapshot of one of them, which is the behavioral based kind of questions. The reason we chose this is because more than 50% of the questions that you're going to face during an interview will be this type of question. And so we got feedback from some of our clients that come to see us, and they did mention that what is the best way to answer? And actually, there is a lot of ways to do it. And today we just want to introduce you to the SOAT way of doing it. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, wait, I'm going to say Eileen to say hi. Eileen, can you please say hi first, just in case that they can hear you?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Eileen, and I'm Lionel's partner in crime. Today, we would like the session to be a very interactive session, and Lionel has prepared what I believe are minimal slides because we want everybody to absorb as much as you can, ask as many questions as you can, so that we can spend more of the time answering real practical questions rather than just downloading information. So we welcome your questions. If you feel you're too shy, you can put your questions in the chat box, and yeah, we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, and because at the end of my very, very short slide, we're going to try to do an activity whereby we let you practice using the SOAT technique of answering the questions. Please, this is a very safe space. I hope that there'll be people volunteer with their answers so that we can, together look through your answers to see where you could make a better presentation or enhance it so that you will be prepared. So take this opportunity. When the time comes, just unmute yourself or, and just say that, hi, I'm going to try to answer the question. And then let's have fun, keep it fun. No, don't be so serious. This is among friends. And some of you, we have known you guys. You guys have came to us and seen us. So, make this as friendly as possible. All right. So as I said, I'm going to start. And it's going to be a very short presentation. I can promise you that. Okay, so for those of you who do not know who we are, just a very, very short introduction. IBF Careers Connect is a division of the whole IBF company itself. So what do we do? So what we do is, for those of you who come and see us, we'll help you to improve your job search skills so that you'll be moved faster to get a job. We can tell you about what is happening in the labor force, what's happening in the market, what jobs are hot, what jobs are cold, what jobs may be on the path of sunset. So you can learn about this through the coaching session. We will try, as we said, we've been saying this, but unfortunately, if it's not the COVID, it's the monkeypox. When the time comes, when it's a little bit more safe, then we can have more activities whereby we could introduce you to connect you with other financial professions. But in fact, right now we are doing this in terms of holding dialogues and talks that some of you may have attended, or some master class that you have attended. And so this is also another way where you could connect with the other financial profession. And last not last, but one of the other things that we do is, time to time, the government may come up with certain programs to enhance your employability. So when you come to see us, we can explain some of these programs to you, perhaps, or let you know about them so that you will be able to enjoy the benefits. And the most important, I think, about coming to us is sometimes you may think that you're not good in certain things, but after talking to us, we can let you know that actually you're very good in doing certain skills that you don't even know you have, and you even have the competency to do it well. And then we can tell you how to put all these things onto your resume, and like today's lessons, how to express it during the interview so that you will leave a more memorable impression on the hiring manager, and so the higher chance of getting hired. So this is in a nutshell what we do as career advisor when you come to see us, or as a department when you come. Of course, we do other things, but these are the 5 things that are more, I guess, more immediate for you guys that comes to see us. So what is in it for us today is, by the end, we hope that you will understand the intent behind using the behavioral question. In fact, we touched upon that last week. Answer these questions using the SWOT technique. Practice answering them. That is why we say we have an activity later. I hope that many of you would want to participate so that it will be beneficial to you, and obviously to be better prepared for the next interview. So we quick go. So what is a behavioral job interview? So it is based on a simple premise that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Meaning, if you encounter certain things in the past, and whatever you do, and especially if you have been successful, you will most probably repeat it. So, which is why people ask behavioral job kind of based interview. Secondly, you will know that it's a behavioral job interview because you will find that they usually start with, tell me about a time, or give me an example of, or have you come across this? They will always start out with this. Once you hear this, it's very, very sure that this will be a behavioral type of job interview question. And then it always tends to relate to a common theme. So it'll be always, about teamwork, about leadership, about conflict. All these are, of course, not exhaustive, but these are usually what they are trying to find out. So they're basically going to find out in the past, what are the things that you do to promote teamwork, or to show your leadership skills, or to solve problems, or to reduce conflict. So, because these are the things that very much likely you will face in the future when you work for that company. So they just want to know, how do you react? How did you behave, basically, which is why it's called a behavioral job interview kind of question. All right, and it's always closely related to situation, as we said, that you encounter in the future. All right, so this is what a behavioral job interview is, and why does interviewer ask such questions. Okay, so how do you prepare for this kind of thing? Very simple. As we told you in the beginning of many of the lessons, look at the job description. The job description is like a cheat sheet for you. It's for you to identify what are the things that the company wants, which is why they post this job description or this job posting for you. So I would say study it, pick a minimum of 3 things that you would like to talk about, and then you prepare and you practice stories whereby you exhibit. So for example, if you read things like prefer to be able to work in a team, then you know that teamwork is very important in this job. So you will think of 2 or 3 stories that you have that whereby you exhibit teamwork, right? And then use the SWOT method to form this thought and to tell the story. Okay, so a good story doesn't mean to be long. Okay, because every one of us has very short attention span. So this is why even when I'm presenting this, I have to make sure that you guys are paying attention, right? You guys are thinking about it. So that's why if you see, I'm trying to speed it up so that you guys don't feel bored, so that I don't ramble on. I get straight to the point. So which is why make sure that your story is concise, simple to understand. Don't just keep talking, because if you keep talking and talking and talking, unless you're a very eloquent speaker, the interviewer will lose interest and they will forget what you just said. So this is how you should prepare, not only for behavioral kind of interview, but overall, this is how you should prepare if you want to go for an interview, right? So what is the SOAT technique? I think many of us are exposed to the STAR or the CAR or many. In fact, as I said, there are many techniques out there, and I just feel a soft spot for this SOAT because it's not out there yet, but it's coming up. So what is the difference? Actually, it's not too much different from the STAR. So let me explain. So this is the question that I'm going to use SOAT to answer. So it'll be, as we said, tell me about a time when you were on a team and one of the members is not carrying his or her weight. So from this, you already could guess what kind of behavioral theme, this question is going to ask you on, right? So the word team is there and so teamwork. So for this question, right, the theme is teamwork. So basically what the interviewer is trying to do is to find out if I have ever exhibited any teamwork or leadership, right? Because you could choose your story. You could choose your story to be a leader or choose a story where you are a team. So if for all intent and purposes, obviously it'll be good if you choose a story where you are the leader, which will be the case in this example. So what does the S stands for in SOAT? S, just like the STAR, stands for situation. It describes what happened. You must set a setting. You must introduce, it's like an induction to your story to let the audience, which is basically the interviewer, know what is it? How does this thing come about, right? So I will say, okay, when. It covers the when, right? When I was with this company, and then I let them know the context, as in I was the leader because I led a team of 5. And then this is what I need to do, right? The situation, it combines the T part in the STAR. So it immediately introduces what we have to do, right? And then if you can, add the importance of this task. Because if it's something that is trivial, I wouldn't recommend you to talk about it, right? But try to talk about some certain things that is important, especially if it's related to what you're going to do in the future. Okay, can I carry on? Can, right? Okay, so it's quite clear. So as is the situation, it tells you who is involved, when did it happen, right? And what is it that you need to do? So it covers when, the why perhaps also, and who and the what, okay? So what does the O stand for? Obviously, it will be a good story must come with something that, block your way to success. So what was the obstacle, or what is the thing that prevented you from achieving the goal? In this case, they already stated for you, right? In this question, they stated for you, someone not putting their weight. So I have to use the same obstacle that they mentioned in the question. But sometimes in the question doesn't tell you what is the obstacle. So that's why you need to come up with a story where you must introduce the obstacle. So in this case, the obstacle was already introduced, someone that is not putting their weight. So I explained, this person is not putting their weight, and what happened when he doesn't put his weight, right? We may not meet the deadline, and then all the other analysts obviously are not happy. So either they are angry, they are panicked, it's up to you to form the story. So look, I have formed the S and the O. It creates this setting. So now the interviewer will be with me, looking at this scenario, looking at what is going to happen, right? This is what I'm going to do, and this is the obstacle I face, or this is the challenge that I'm facing, okay? And then we move to the A, which is the action. So what did I do when this kind of thing happened? What did I do, right? Describe the action you took to overcome the obstacle. So in this case, I met with the so-called troublemaker and find out, hey, what's going on, and explain the seriousness of this to the person, right? And then I offer help. You know, I have to take it for granted. There must be a reason why he's not showing up, right? And so I got the answer. He was not showing up because he has something else he needs to do, and he doesn't know how to balance his time. Perhaps doesn't matter, because you are the storyteller. You let them know this is the action. What did you do? What did you do to try to solve the problem? What did you do to try to overcome the obstacle? Right? So what do? After you learn about what's going on, so you start making phone calls and you call in some favors. So you can tell by putting this, I'm also indirectly telling them that I'm very good in communicating, and I'm most probably very likable because I can call in favors, right? So I call in some favors. I get two interns to help him, right, on his task, so that he can concentrate on our task, right? So most important, the result, right? What is the result? And most important, please, the result should reflect well on you. Okay, of course, there are cases where the behavioral kind of question where they will tell me you fail. Then of course the result will be something to do that you fail. And hopefully you choose a story that the failure is not so serious that it could jeopardize the whole thing. So I give them the result. Because I helped him, he could contribute to our project, managed to complete everything. And then it was so good that with the analysis that we did, we increased the returns of the company by 20% or more. And then talk about yourself, your ability to do this, right? Make you a person that lead other projects. So this story is good for me if I know that in my future role, I take a lot of projects. There'll be a lot of projects thrown at me, and I may have to call upon my leadership skill, my teamwork skills to do it. So this is why I chose this story to tell, because these three things most probably appeared on the job description. Want someone that deals with project, like someone that has leadership skills, like someone that has teamwork or conflict, or so by telling this story, I have exhibit these are the skills that found in the job description that they're looking for. Okay. And last but not least, which is why I like the SOAT, is the takeaway, right? Because the star stops at result. Everybody's happy, the result. But sometimes it's good to let the interviewer know that after this experience, there is some learning points, something that you learn, something that you realize, something that you have a like a aha moment, right? So through this experience, I learned that being a leader needs to do this, make difficult conversation, and to solve internal discord without damaging the morale of the team. So one thing that I would say I don't like, one thing the star is missing is this takeaway, which I feel that is something that the interviewer sometimes is looking for, right? Basically, if they ask you why you fail or why you, your weakness and things question like this, they actually are aiming for this T, which is the takeaway. What is your takeaway? What did you learn? What do you take out of this situation? So this, in a very short, as I said, my presentation will be short, is what we call a SOAT technique to answer the behavioral-based question. You could also still use STAR, which is not much of a difference, and just add the T behind. So instead of the STAR model, you may have a START model, which is fine, right? As I said, every style that you use, every technique that you use is helpful. It's just that if you can mix some of the ways to do it, if you are really very eloquent in your speech, then it doesn't sound like every answer is, formalized that way. So this is why one of the reasons why we decided to introduce a new technique, which is a soul art technique, so that you could put it together with all the other techniques that you have, and based on the situation, come up with a very good answer that covers all angles. I like soul art because it covers everything. It tells you what happened, the situation. It gives you a chance to tell them what are the skills that you have, and it gives you a chance to let them know that you learned something from the experience. So you cover the three main parts of an answer that most interviewers are looking for, right? Which is what the situation that you face, that you could face in the future. What are the actions that you took that exhibit the skills that the desired skills that the company wants you to exhibit, and what did you learn from it? What did you take away from it? So the rule of three again comes into the picture. So you go away giving them 3 things to remember you by. Any questions so far, or am I going too fast? No questions. Okay, if there's no question, as I said, this is a very, very short thing. This is what the SWOT technique is, all right? And so we're gonna do the rest of the session, right? By doing a very short activity or long activity, depending on how many people decide to participate, right? We want you to learn to use this technique to answer the behavioral type of interview questions, right? So many of you will say, okay, what are the themes that usually hiring manager wants to know, right? So as I said, teamwork, I get the definition. Okay, teamwork means your ability to work with others. So when you want to talk about teamwork kind of thing, make sure it shows you know how to work with others, right? You may not be the leader, right? Because it's teamwork. So you may be part of the team and how you got along with different types of people. You could talk about people that were difficult to work with, which is usually a choice, so that it shows your ability to work even with people that are difficult to work with, right? The other theme is very related to teamwork, is leadership. Now, this time is whereby you are the leader. Of course, you have to show that, either you are very good in mentoring or training others, right? So for stories about mentoring and training others, it's always good to have a result whereby the person you train or the person you mentor achieve something that without you wouldn't have achieved, right? So as a leader, you need to make decisions. So you can talk about being a leader, making difficult decisions, solving problems, or decide to take an initiative. So when it comes to a leadership kind of theme question, these are the things that hiring managers are looking out for as what a leader usually would do. Conflict resolution is another very common theme that behavioral type of question will ask, is to be able to manage conflict in a professional manner, right? So in my earlier example, these 3 things was in the picture: work with others, making decisions, solving problems, and then to manage the conflict within the group because they're not happy that one person always don't show up. Okay. Problem solving, okay, my story is very good because it covers also problem solving, right? Whether you can analyze the situation, how resourceful was also demonstrated because I make phone calls to ask for favors and things like that, and I found a solution and I followed through with it. So if you want to talk about a problem solving kind of story, right, will be things that you need to exhibit about you analyzing the situation, you being resourceful, you finding the solution, and you follow through. Okay. Last but not least, as we mentioned, failure, nobody's perfect. So if you have failure, basically they want to see how you view failure, right? And they'll be interested in your ability to persevere or to learn something and to change something, which is why the soul art is good, because you have the last T there, right? The last T help you to come up with a solution that you can learn from, something that you can walk away from. So that is perseverance. Okay, if there is no questions, I'm really going to give about 3-4 minutes for people to be brave, right? Come up with, a story that you would like to talk about, right? I'm not going to ask a question because it'll be normal. My question will be something like, tell me about a time whereby there was a problem, blah, 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 and how do you solve it? And you can choose anyone or all of them. It's up to you, right? Some to highlight. But remember, you must, let us, when we hear 3 things, understand what the situation is, how were you involved with, and what did you learn? So if you can use soul art to form these 3 bases of the story, it'll be good. For sure, the hiring manager will remember who you are. So I'm going to put this slide out here. I'm going to hope that some of you will be brave enough to raise your hand and then unmute yourself and say, hey, Lionel, I would like to try answering, any, this type of questions. Any? Okay, I just started the time, so don't expect anybody to come up with an answer that quickly. Or should I put Eileen in a spot for her to give an example?
Okay, I can give an example to help everybody, but my example will be, okay, I think I'll choose problem solving. Okay, so listen up.
I'll ask you the question. Eileen, tell me about the time whereby you need to solve a problem while at work.
Yeah, okay, I can. Okay, so what happened was that I used to be a trainer, or rather I still am a trainer, and I used to have to travel to physical locations to deliver training. So and as was my usual practice, I like to show up at a training 1 hour before to ensure that I've got everything in place. So that happened that day. I arrived 1 hour earlier, and the person who was supposed to open the room did not arrive until it was half an hour past the starting time. And by then, I had a group of 30 senior citizens, the youngest of whom was 65 years old, all waiting for me outside the classroom. So when the administrator finally went in, we discovered that unfortunately the projector was not working.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And so being as there was no backup, the class was already late and we had no time to get a technician to come in and fix everything. So what happened was that day, I was supposed to teach these 30 senior citizens how to use a computer, and each of them had a computer. I spent the whole day walking up and down the aisles, attending to each of them with their manuals and their individual computers to teach them how to use the computers. And I'm happy to report that at the end of that day, all 30 senior citizens were very angry at having to wait half an hour in the beginning of the day. They were very happy with what I managed to teach them, despite all the challenges, and they praised me for being a very patient teacher with them. And one of them even wanted to take a photo with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then what I learned from that situation what I learned from that situation was that sometimes you think you can be very prepared, but there are always times when things are suddenly out of your control. So in that situation, the administrator being late was really out of my control. And I've learned since that time to always be prepared for the unexpected, and to just learn to think on your feet and do the best that you can in any situation. And very important for me to keep a smile on at all times.
Very good, very good. Okay. See, actually, I really put her on the spot. She didn't. It wasn't prepared, right? So, anybody would like to either ask a question or want to attempt?
And I want to also share this, right? I mean, I thank Lionel for putting me on the spot, but this is an example of how one highlight in your career, no matter what the incident is or the thing, can be used to answer a number of questions. So for example, this can be used to answer a question about problem solving. It can also be used to answer a question about emergency preparedness. It can be also used to answer a question about teamwork. You just have to twist the story a little bit to say that the administrator is part of your team and you were depending on this team person to do something and that person didn't do it. And then, and you can also use this as a leadership thing, because imagine that I was a team leader, I was supposed to do something, and then my teammates were supposed to support me, did not show up to open the room and, turn on the computer and stuff like that. So, and also this can also be twisted, though it's a bit of a fast stretch, for conflict resolution, because assuming that this situation happened for real, and it did, by the way, the conflict resolution could be that that very morning, the administrator had a quarrel with my boss, and both of them were co-owners of the company, and they didn't want to open the door.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, what I'm trying to share with all of you today, right, is that don't feel like, okay, gosh, I've got to prepare one story on teamwork. I've got to prepare one story on leadership. I believe that each of you will have at least one or two events in your career which is highly memorable to yourself, that you don't have to remember, script, or memorize and regurgitate, that you can use and twist to any form of question that can come up during a behavioral interview question. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, it's true. As we said, not everyone can be very versatile, and that's normal. And it takes a lot of practice, like us, to do such things. So it may look easy on you, but it came with a lot of practice that we used to do in our early days, right? So it will come to you. So, for those of you who felt that, oh, I haven't attended an interview for a long time, I really don't know what to do. Very simple, just practice and practice and practice. Practice with someone that you know. Say it out. It's a lot different than you saying it out in your head, because I know some people like to, just write the thing out and then say it out in the head. It's always better to just say it out, because your tone, the way, the speed that you speak, does play a part in delivering a story, right?
Okay, while we are waiting for responses,
someone's responded.
That's nice.
Very good. If I can give a prize, I would have given you a prize.
Do we call you King Sing?
Yeah, my name is King Sing.
Hi.
Can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay, I request, I don't know why the chat is disabled, because I want to post my Facebook on the chat so people can contact me.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, though, because sorry, not sorry. I'm a 63-year-old man, so I can contribute a bit, and I have been. I'm a business lecturer for 3.5 years, and taught in two universities, University of Wales in Cardiff and University of Ballarat. And for some years, I have not been having a full-time job, doing part-time here and there. So I want to demonstrate about problem solving, because some years ago, when I was teaching, I'm teaching international students the degree program. I don't know what is happening. I'm a full-time lecturer, and my department is producing money, called business management. And there's a lady, she just come in. She's a student, a former student. She said, want to join my group. And I don't know what's happening. I allow her, to rejoin the school program, without my boss, because my boss, he has been a poly lecturer for about 10 years, and he haven't come in. So I'm the one to manage the department first before I hand over to him. So I allow the lady to join. And she's a border case, she's called only about 48, 47. So I intended as a full-time lecturer, I can upgrade her. So it's very tricky because, I'm a lecturer though. I can have a professional relationship, cannot have personal because she is around about 18, 19, and very attractive, I'm a lecturer. So I don't want to get entangled. But at the same time, I want to help her in her predicament. So I said, you don't mind, I asked the class monitors and myself. And she said, I'm not comfortable, but I said, do you know, she said, can I get my best friend who's another lady in the class? So we talked to her that, okay, I can upgrade you, but you must do case study for me, according to the course syllabus. And she agreed, So I quietly upgrade her and give her a conditional pass. And she's happy. But she's not happy that conditional pass, but agree that when she stay for the program, before the end of the course, I give her a full pass because and she's happy. But I also get shit from her, So
okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think you are getting the story really too complicated than it is.
Yes,
and
so
the interviewer will be dismissing it already.
I assist her to pass this subject. So I want to stop there. So I think I'm quite resourceful in this area. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think
Okay.
I have to cut down my story or else.
Your situation, the situation part, I think is a little bit too extended. You could just say that, you were a lecturer, you had a problem with one student who wasn't too happy with your, the way she was marked. And then you explain what you did. That means you went through with the monitress there to talk to her, to explain to her and everything. And then the result obviously was either she's happy or not happy, doesn't matter. But the result was at the end, she still get her pass. And maybe your takeaway, what do you learn from this? Or to be very careful when it comes to dealing with certain individual who has a misaligned expectation.
Yes. Yeah,
something like that. Then that will be a good story to say how you manage and solve a problem.
Yeah. Thank you. And I also advertise myself because I'm going for Gorilla.com assessment by the end of this month. So whoever want to have conversation to me, to encourage me, or I can help one another. You can call. You can. My name is in Facebook. Wang King Sing. You can find me.
Okay. Thank you, King Sing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks, because I have not been talking for a while, so
This is all right. No worries.
Thank you very much, everyone. Wish you all the best in your career endeavor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question. I think I begin with Andrew. Andrew is asking about a question to answer when it's tell me about time when you could not meet a deadline.
Sorry, can I interrupt a bit? So
sure.
To round off King Sing's example, right? I want to also share with those of you who are aware of your own style that you might be lost. Many of us, when we are involved in a situation, we remember all the details very well. During interview, it's very easy for all of us to get so fixated on sharing the entire experience that we get lost in the details. And before you know it, like what Lionel has said, the interviewer gets lost. So if you know yourself that you might run into this problem, can we suggest that when you practice your soul art, you put the result, the R and the T up front to ensure that the story is not lost. And then if you feel that you still need to spend some time describing the situation, you can do that later. So our tip for you is this: if you know that you are long-winded for whatever reason, put your R and your T up front and then continue the rest of your story. Yeah, so thank you, Lionel, for that. Like to carry on.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion from Eileen. Yes, for those of you who are starting out on this, yes, you can start with the normal S first and so on and so forth. But for some of you who are more seasoned or perhaps more eloquent in your speech, yeah, you can play around with changing the lettering, right? As what Eileen say, you can put the R first and the T first, or you can put the T first, or you can put O first. You can explain the obstacle you face, then you talk about the situation, and then what action and what result. So the soul art is all these elements should be in your story so that it completes the whole picture, right? The sequencing is your comfort level, right? So if you're afraid that, if you feel that this question, I think the interviewer actually wants to know the result. So I say my result first, right? So thank you, Eileen, for pointing it out because you jumped the gun, but yeah, that's good because I'm also going to talk about it during the debrief, but that's okay. It's okay to say it. It goes to show that we didn't rehearse this in advance. You're hearing this live as live can be. All right, so Andrew, I know you have a question.
Is that a question though?
Is a question, yeah, is it a question or you want us to tell you what could have been a good answer, or should you try to answer this and let us know, how you fare? Andrew, if you can unmute yourself. You don't need to show your video. You just have to speak to let us know what is it you want to know. Or you can type it in the chat group.
It's not a question. I'm just sharing an actual question.
Okay. So would you, oops. Okay. Okay, so Andrew is just sharing something that he went through. Yes, meeting your deadline is one of the failure. As I'm going to jump to Kit's question about fairy tale or realistic. Kit, the answer is try not to lie. That's all I can say. Whether it's going to be a nice ending or not a nice ending, it doesn't. Can I say it doesn't matter, because the reason behind it is, what did you learn from this failure, right? Did you learn anything, right? Like as example, let's say Edith's story earlier, right? What did she learn, right? Because the so-called failure could be I didn't start on time, right? So what did she learn from that, right? So she learned that you cannot expect everything to be there. You got to make preparation, So I won't call it fairy tale or realistic. The more answer is whatever happened, and don't lie about it. Because if you lie, you may get yourself caught when you answer other questions that come along, right? You may trick yourself without even realizing what you said. So I would say it doesn't matter whether fairy tale realistic. It's the key thing is when it comes to a failure theme kind of questions, the intent behind is usually what did you learn from it and how did you recover from it and how you overcome it so that you don't do the same mistake again. Anything to add, Eileen?
Yeah, I have. Okay, I like Kit's. Kit, I remember you from last week. I remember all the questions you asked. It was really helpful for us. So to answer your question, right? Yeah, I think another aspect to answering your question is that when preparing failure stories, I believe that each of us will need to prepare about at least one or two. So in your preparation, you could provide one in which you managed to solve the problem and one in which you did not solve the problem. And then I believe in both areas, it will showcase parts of you that, it will showcase different parts of you or even same attributes of you that will, that will attract the interviewer to you. So
Yeah.
remember, if you still remember, those of you who were with us last week, if you still remember the behind principle, behind every answer, there is always another answer. So the kind of answer you give will also reflect on the kind of person you are. And if you are truly that person that the company is looking for, so just go confidence in who you are and what you have to offer. Yeah, so that's all I have.
Yeah. Yeah, Kit, thanks, Kit. Yeah, any other person, if you don't, you can either attempt to answer a question that you had before during an interview and you would like to say, hey, is this a good way to answer? Then, we're going to give you a very honest feedback and to let you know perhaps how you could improve upon the answer.
I like all these questions coming. Okay. Okay, David, do you not have to think about the failure you're presenting, because couldn't it be to your detriment to being hired if you present a large failure? So again, context matters. So I would say that if you know the size of the job role that you're getting hired into, if you're getting hired into a job role that's responsible for millions of dollars or millions of lives, for example, then to your credit, you'd want to present a failure story that demonstrates your ability to handle such a big problem.
I mean, as what Eileen says, right? You are the author of the story, If you feel uncomfortable about saying, because it depends on the context of the question, right? I mean, as what Eileen say, you don't need to choose something that is so devastating, right? If you're not comfortable with it, right? But if you're comfortable with it and you can tell them that because of the experience of such a devastating a failure, how you pick yourself up, how you persevere, how you become resilient. As I said, the intent behind it is not what the failure is. The intent is, if you encounter failure, how is it that you behave? How do you behave? How did you learn from this? So that, God forbid, in your new job, you don't repeat the same thing. So as what Eileen said, is the intent behind, right? What is your intention when you want to choose such a devastating failure story to talk? Because you want to show that you have grown mature, you know how to handle such things, so that the hiring manager will have confidence that if chaos or trouble happen in the new job, they can rely on you to lead them out of this thing. Because not all failure is your fault, as you know, it could be something that is outside. So if you want to choose a devastating failure, then choose something that is because something is beyond your control, right? So that will again showcase your ability to walk out of it alive, so to speak.
And also, this is a side tip regarding the stories that you share to those of you who might be prone to emotions. I have seen people in the past, and some of your experiences and your stories could be emotionally charged for you. And if you know that, there is such an incident which might trigger you to, start tearing up during an interview or get yourself choked up or something, try to avoid using such examples. Yeah.
As we said, you get to choose, you get to prepare, right? Like those themes that is flashing on your screen now, you can prepare 2 stories behind each theme and you could choose them, right? And unless the question is phrased whereby you need to do this because they want to see this, right? They may say, oh, tell me about time when you use your analyzing skills to do this. Then you got no choice, then you have to talk about your analyzing skills, right? But if you're given a chance, a free for all kind of question, then as we said, if you have done your research, your answer will be based on what they're looking for, because your answer will be based on the job description, whereby they tell you that this is the person that I want to be working for me. Right.
Okay, we have a next question from Lynette. Can you share some pointers on how to answer question on how to transform and motivate a low performance team who doesn't go the extra mile? Okay, so first off, your example has to be based off your actual experience. If you have never motivated a low performance team who doesn't go the extra mile, it's very hard for you to prepare a story that doesn't really exist. So that's the first tip we have to offer. And number two, in this case, right, what you want to showcase, if you do have such an example, is that in telling your story about what you have done for your team, it's important for you to avoid labeling your team members. So when you share a story about a real team that you have managed, right, you should avoid saying things like, okay, I had a really lazy team member, avoid putting such labels and put it to just say that someone who did not do his fair share of the work and was not forthcoming in his explanations when I asked him about it. Something like that, rather than put a label to say this person is sloppy, this person is lazy, because remember, what you say reflects on who you are behind.
Yeah, and that's a very good tip, Eileen. Yeah, as we said, don't say anything negative, and that includes labeling people or company or whatever. You will need to really, that's why practice is good, because then you know what is it, how you want to phrase a certain situation, right?
Okay, to answer Belinda's question, what if you were asked about something which you never encountered? No, do not make up a story, but try to find something parallel.
Exactly. Don't make up a story, because if you make up a story, as we said, you may not remember the story that you make up. And one day, okay, maybe they're impressed with all your makeup stories, and then you work for them, it comes back and bite you when they refer it back. So if you've never experienced it before, choose something that's very close to it. Worst case scenario, just you may say something, say that, oh, I never encountered this before, but if it happened to me, this is what I'll do, or something like that, right? So that you don't, never make up story, which means never lie about it.
I think one example is, for example, if you have never been a team lead, you're interviewing for a team lead position, then so clearly you wouldn't have examples about leading a team, right? But you would have had over the course of your career, chances to mentor other people, chances to lead project teams, chances to influence people who have more organizational authority than yourself, and things like that. Yeah.
Well, Kit always have very interesting questions to ask.
But David's question comes first.
Okay. Oh, okay. David. Wow. Okay, David, interesting. I mean, if most of the time you don't make any mistake, and the only time you make a mistake is a big boo-boo, okay, and let me put it this way, David, it doesn't need to be about work. Okay, if they tell me about a mistake you made, unless they specifically say at work, which I hope they don't. If number one, if they just say make a mistake, something that you fail, it could be non-work related. So it takes you to a safe space. But at the end, as we said, you still need to come up with what did you learn from it, and how this learning can help the company, right? So that, as I said, everything is behind the intention. If it's about work, as I said, it doesn't matter whether it's a huge mistake or a bad mistake. You just have to make sure that when you frame it, it's something that had happened, maybe you made the mistake or not, I know. But the key thing is, what did you do? How did you experience it? What did you get out of the experience, basically? It always goes back to what did you come up with it? Any learning points, anything that may benefit the company because you experienced this mistake or you made this mistake, right? And David, I don't think you should get too hung up about what the mistake is, because the whole interview is a lot of things going on, right? It cannot be that one thing that will jeopardize the whole interview.
I think David's question has triggered one point that I also wanted to raise, right? Also, in the course of choosing a failure story, you want to make sure that your failure does not create a picture of you having integrity issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially for finance and banking.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of sins that you can commit, but usually for finance, integrity is important for all jobs, put it this way. But it's especially so when it comes to your money is sensitive.
Yeah, and to close off David's question, right? Yes, it does seem disingenuous if you don't mention anything. It's far better for you to say, I don't have a direct example at work, but I'd like to offer this example from, say, my volunteer work with this organization, and then leave it, rather than sound evasive, because being evasive is going to tell another story about you altogether.
Yes, and maybe you are that good, but most hiring managers cannot believe that you never committed anything, right? Because everybody is human, right? So
yeah, and then for Kit, okay, we're always happy to answer Kit's question. Okay, what would I do if I discovered a superior was doing something? So again, do it according to your own level of integrity. Yeah, because in a real case, right, if you're someone with very high ethics, which we hope you are, you also don't want to say things like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut just to get the job. Right?
Unless, of course, the person who's interviewing you is already doing something bad and you want to test you. But I'm thinking way out of the left field. If the intention to ask you these questions because this person is going to be your boss, and he's been doing certain things, and he was wondering whether you'll report if you catch him doing it. And I think you shouldn't want to work for that kind of company.
And Kit, instead of asking the question, am I invited to be a whistleblower or not? Focus your answer on, what is it I want them to know about me?
Yeah.
Hoping this helps. Let us know if it doesn't help. We'll try to answer it better. King Sing, to answer your question, I think the model answer is no. Please try not to involve yourself in place politics. And you also would not want to tell the interviewer that, yes, you are going to involve yourself in the politics. Okay, Fazila, how about rephrasing the failure to more like a hiccup that you managed to resolve or down pat to put a positive spin to it? Thank you, Fazila. I think that's a great way to do it. And I just want to remind everyone that the role that you're interviewing for is going to determine the size of the mistake that you that you offer as an example. So you don't want to say that, okay, one day I forgot to bring a tie to work. If you're interviewing for a CEO position, and that was the greatest mistake that you ever made.
Okay. Lynette has another question. Okay, it's in regards to why you asked the question about the thing. As we said, like it or not, we don't label, we don't badmouth, right? So there must be a reason why you want to choose this story to tell. If you really want to tell this story, then as we said, you need to find another way to express it, right? You cannot use words like toxic or things like that. That's like labeling, right? So maybe you said, the working environment, they're not cooperative or something like that, something less, less toxic. So, yes, what I mean?
I think what Lionel said is very, very important because you see, when you mention the word toxic, right, somebody in your interviewers may resonate with this. And then the next question they ask you might be, what do you mean by toxic? And at that moment, you have derailed your interview.
Correct. Because if you use certain strong words, you got to be prepared. That's what Eileen said for the follow-up question. It's like, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? And then you need to really again come up with that question. So so that's why we go back again, prepare, right? Because if you have prepare, then you will have a set of answers that that you could handle, right? So that when the situation comes, you're prepared. You know how to answer the questions. And if there's any follow-up, you're also ready to answer it. Looks like nobody wants to try to use the SOAT to answer. But it's fine. I mean, as we said, we want to make this beneficial to you guys, right? So keep the question coming.
Keep questions coming, and this is a golden opportunity for me to arrow Lionel to showcase another SOAT answer. Okay, Lionel, I'm going to ask you another question. Okay, tell me about a time when you resolve a conflict between two of your colleagues over whom you did not have direct control.
Sorry?
Okay, tell me about a time when you had to resolve a conflict between two of your peers, and those are peers over whom you did not have direct control.
Oh, okay. There was a time when we had to make a business trip to do our buying in Padua, Italy. I was in charge of the men's category. So basically, there are other category buyers that are there, which do not report to me. So there was a time whereby both the children buyer and the ladies buyer wanted to choose a certain style, and both of them insist that they are the one who saw the prototype first. And so they were making quite a scene, and everybody was like looking at what's going on with the Singapore team. So what I did was I quickly approached both of them, being a more senior buyer than both of them. I took them aside. I asked them to explain to me, a neutral person, why does this shoe, make them want to choose it? And I hear from both sides of the stories. And at the end, because of the heel height of the shoes, we told the children, I managed to persuade children, it's like, the heel is too high, right? So there's the chances of the parents wanting to buy this pair of shoes, is low, because they feel that it's dangerous for the children. So then the children by fun suddenly realize, like a light has popped into her head, and you realize, oh yeah, if I buy this shoe, I may end up, this could be my mistake. Nobody will buy this. And so she relents and let the ladies buyer choose that particular style. From it, I learned that sometimes at the heat of the moment, everybody wants certain things. But if you calm yourself down and you think objectively how this object can serve its purpose or not, and most of the time, cool heads accomplish much. How? It's a true story.
Yeah, I like it, yes. And it showcases your calmness and your objectivity and all that. Yeah. So I'm hoping that for those of you who are still listening to us, that you can see how different people, when they answer, you are actually, that there's a person behind the answer, right? And your personality can never be, how should I say, always try to be authentic. Your personality will show through whatever you do. Yeah.
Which is why we come back, why this type of question is what the hiring managers say, because other type of question, let's say situation or competence, other kind of question is open to interpretation. But this one is basically you'll be choosing something that's very close to you, because it's your behavior, it's how you do things, right? So it's hard to so-called hide. So it let the hiring manager can see you and to picture how you will be like if you work for them, which is why 50% of the questions are behavioral type of question, because this is the part whereby they see the real you, because it's based on real situation, right? As we said, of course, some of you may say, hey, I can always make this up, blah, blah, blah. But if you catch yourself so many times that you come up with your own thing, it will catch up on you. And, it's not very nice when you are called out for saying something that's not true.
And okay, a side tip, this is not quite about answering the question, right? So for those of you who are either making up a story or recalling an actual experience, right? Bear in mind that there is body language science that says that when you're actually recalling something, your eyes, when you talk, your eyes will actually look up to the left or to the right. And if your eyes actually looking up into the other side, it says that you're conjuring up a story. So, if you ever decide to make the decision to conjure a story, be aware that there are telltale signs. Okay, we do have a next question. King Sing, why should we hire you because you are overqualified? Would you be comfortable with this position that you're applying for?
I think these questions will not be part of the behavioral type. I think it's just something that you want to ask because maybe when you go for interview and as you say, you have many years of experience in teaching, and that's why they may ask you. Well, basically, I would say most of the time, the intention is to see your commitment. So your answer have to show your commitment. How committed are you in doing this? And how you have already expect perhaps the pay, perhaps the responsibility, or perhaps reporting to a much younger person. So these are the things that usually a hiring manager is looking out for. So your answer should try to address these things, that you are committed to this position, even though it is so-called less you're overqualified. And perhaps you can show your commitment and also talk about how your experience is going to help them. And you're willing to share, things that you have learned to the people. And, that's basically the reason why they're asking you. The two things that they're asking you is, are you committed? Are you just using me as a stepping stone? Because you are grabbing whatever that's offered to you. So what is your commitment? Knowing that this job could pay you less, or you may report to a much younger person, or you have less responsibility than what which you hold previously. So it's your commitment level and how you can still contribute.
Okay, the next question from Kit. What is the percentage of behavior questions in an interview?
I mentioned about 50, about 50 or more,
I think another, okay, the data apart, right? Okay, for Kit, one thing that may be happening is that when the interviewer is asking for more examples, that means that your previous example is not giving him or her the evidence that they need to put on the report.
Yeah, thinking it could be that maybe you are not answering, they're not hearing, and actually you should be happy if they're asking you more, which means that they like you enough to lack of a better word, give you chance to give you a way to hit those points that perhaps you're missing. Are there any more questions that, or you, by now we are all friends, you are brave enough to try to answer some of the questions that you're asking?
How to conduct oneself comfortably if you're going for 4 interviews in the same company?
Oh, this is actually a totally separate subject that we could explore on how to survive internal interview. I would say there is some difference between the internal interview and the external interview, meaning, what do you mean by same job? I don't really understand your question. If you're saying that how to be comfortable if you're interviewing for a job within the same company, or you're saying, okay, if that's the case, then again, it's a totally subject that we can always explore on in a very short way is, as each round of interview, you've got to show a different level of involvement, right? Meaning that your stories, you can tell the same story, but the story will have to be more involved depending on who you're telling the story to, right? So as you move up means you're looking at people that are presumably more important in the company. They are looking for different things. It will be most probably how you could, because they, how should I say, they may not be with you all the time. So they will be most probably thinking of questions that make them see whether you can fit into the culture of the company. I will say that, right? So you need to be just who you are, as we say, to be comfortable. You just need to realize that it may be the same question, but they're looking for most really different things. So, yeah, it's like this type of things is better if we could talk about it on our own. When you make an appointment to see any of the career advisor, then we can talk you through on at the different level of interview, or what is it, because we do not know what happened in the first round, right? We do not know what happened in the second round. So, but if you are with us, you're part of our, our job seeker, then we can discuss, okay, in the first round, this is what happened. Second round, what happened? Third round, what happened? So in the fourth round, most probably this is what they're looking for. And this is how you should behave. That's what I'm trying to say. So I can't answer you just like that. It needs a certain more context to it. Eileen?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've given a pretty good answer. So nothing to add.
Yeah, you need to come and at the end of this, we will give you a QR code and an email address. For those of you who are silent, maybe you have lots of burning questions you want to ask, and you would like to ask it in a more safer environment, whereby it's one-to-one. Then feel safe. When you see the email address later or the QR code, make an appointment to see us, and then we can give you a more personalized approach to how to answer those questions.
Okay, I like that kids always asking questions. Okay, is it okay to write or take notes within an interview, write or draw diagrams to explain situations? I think it's a great idea. Yeah, because
it's
again,
a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, for me, it is a good idea because it paints the person who is doing, I mean, it paints a picture of Kate for me. It shows me that she's someone who's serious enough about the interview to actually write or take notes.
If you're afraid that it's going to distract them before the start of the interview, let them know you'll be doing that. Right? Before they start asking you the first question, you said, if you don't mind, could I take notes while, so that they know what you're doing, so that they don't think, is he bored or is she bored? Or why is she writing so many things, So if you're afraid that it will be a distraction, let them know that's what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong because different people remember differently. And you could be a visual person, or you could be a tactile person whereby you need to touch something, you need to feel something. Yeah, then go ahead. Let them know that that's what you're doing, especially if it's a visual. So they don't, like right now, they may not know what you're doing because they cannot see. Right? If it's face to face, obviously it's okay because they can see what you're doing. So if it's a video interview, it's good to let them know that you're taking notes. So that if you are looking down, they at least know why you're looking down.
And another thing to also take note, right, is that if a situation is so complex that you have to write or draw a diagram, right, you may want to, I'm not sure what question you have in mind, but if the situation is so complex that you have to draw a diagram to explain, then can I suggest that when you're preparing, you try to simplify that, because remember, the interview is about you. It is not about a situation, and you don't want them to get so sucked up into the situation itself that, at the end they forget why they even want to know about the whole situation itself. Yeah.
Okay.
And King Sing, how to be authentic in personality test? No, in our experience, personality test is something that you should never try to game. So everybody, if you're asked to go through a personality test, please be authentic.
Just answer, don't think too much. To me, that's because basically they want to see who you are. At this point, can I suggest that we put up a poll? Yeah, really fast, you can read my mind. This poll, as we not take too much of your time, it's very useful for us because it's from here that we decide on our next workshop what we should be addressing, what we should be doing, and what kind of topics that will interest you, so that we will be able to serve you better. So please take some time to if you feel that this workshop, this type of workshop, has helped you, please help us by letting us know that it is what, that so that we can run more workshops that's like that. All right.
And also, I think if there are topics that are not listed that you would like us to run, if we can, please leave them in the chat box, because I realize that the poll does not allow text input.
Okay, let me quickly just run to the next part. You can still ask questions, there's not a problem. I'm just saying that I need to let you guys know, as we said, usually it's account for 50%, and it could be more, it could be less, it may not be your fault, it's just something that happens. Okay. Okay, as we said, behavioral type of questions is basically to see the real you, right? To know how you will behave in certain situation, and it's usually, as we said, it's a role that most probably that you'll be facing. So actually, based on the behavior type of questions that they ask you, you more or less could gauge what you're getting yourself into, so to speak. So it's a both ways. During interview, it's a both way process for you to also realize, hey, this could be what I'm going to get myself into. Okay. So there are many methods, as we said, but we feel that or rather I feel that SOARC is one of the better ones. And last but not least, this is the email address they can write to make an appointment to see us. For those of you who are here and have questions that you would like to ask in previously, yeah, then you could always, and then there's the QR code for you. Is there any other questions?
Sidani, no need. Just say that you want to make an appointment. Thanks, Lynette.
Oh, to avoid so-called disappointment, this services is open to Singaporeans and PR at the moment. So if you are a Singaporean and a PR, just write in and then or scan the thing. It will take you to a form whereby you fill your particular, and someone will contact you to set an appointment to see us. Thanks, Kit. Thank you for those who have asked questions and those who have leave very kind words.
Thanks, Ing Chuan. Thanks, Kit. Thanks, King Sing, Richard, Fazila. Thanks, Jason, Xin Wei.
Yeah.
Jun Hao.
If there's no
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I don't know, I have a behavior because I always think that I'm the ruling class of Singapore. You know, I am like chow chow. So sometimes my behavior may be offending, but I have a kind heart. How to project myself as authentic, is it?
Well, you just said it yourself, right? You have a kind heart, and just project that kindness.
Yes, yes. Because sometimes I may be appear bossy, you know, so it's I speak my mind because sometimes the interviewer may not like it. Because I'm not begging a job, you know, I'm offering a service with my ability and my time in exchange for a salary. And they are employers who are not, you know, yeah.
I think King Sing, why don't you make an appointment and see one of us, because your questions I think should be taken offline.
Okay, can.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no mention.
Okay, thank you for the compliment. No, there is no long wait, and you don't have to request for either of us because we've got a bunch of crazy teammates and they are all, you know, they are equally, yeah. So
it's random.
You just it's random. You email and then and if you want either of us, just pray.
Our teammates are just as good, if not better than us.
Yes. Thanks, Albert. Karine, thanks. Derek, thanks. Qianru.
Yeah, Kit, if you see them, you know we are a fun bunch to be with. Okay, so thank you all for staying with us, and I hope we hope that this session has helped you in move you closer towards your job or moving you up in your career. Yeah, the email address is there, the QR code is there. We look forward to meeting you guys on a more personal level. All the best in whatever that you're doing. Hope that you will be able to find a place in a role that you will enjoy. As what Steve
And-
Jobs say, if you
yeah.
find a job that you love, it's not a job anymore.
Oh, and also wanted to add, right? Those of you who are also interested can feel free to connect to any of us on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. Okay. So if
Thank you,
that's it,
everyone.
thank you everyone for coming. We look forward to seeing you either from our other webinar, or if not, come see us by making an appointment. Okay. Bye.
Bye.